What hides within the constellation Aquila, soaring proudly right in the center of our Milky Way? Here shines Altair, a star spinning at such monstrous speed that it has flattened at its poles. And right here lurks a cosmic monster, a black hole shooting plasma at a quarter of the speed of light. Ancient myths say this is the very eagle that tormented the chained Titan Prometheus for millennia.
All right, today we're turning our gaze upwards to the constellation Aquila, the eagle. But this is going to be more than just a game of celestial connect the dots. We're going to treat this patch of sky as two things at once. On one hand, it's a cosmic laboratory, a place where extreme physics is constantly pushing the limits of what we know. And on the other, it's a mythological canvas, where some of our oldest stories are written in starlight. So, let's be clear what we mean by constellation. It's not just a pretty pattern. Think of it as an officially designated territory in the night sky. And let me tell you, Aquila is some seriously prime real estate. It is just jam-packed with cosmic oddities. We're talking microquasars, rapidly spinning stars, things so extreme they force us to completely rethink the fundamental laws of stellar mechanics. So here's our flight plan for today. We'll start with the basics, Aquila's location in the sky. Then we'll dive headfirst into the really bizarre astrophysical objects hiding within it. After that, we'll journey back in time to explore its history and myths. And finally, I'll give you a practical guide on how to find it yourself so you can put all these pieces together. First up, celestial geography. Before we can even begin to talk about what's in Aquila, we have to understand where it is, and its location is absolutely crucial. See, it sits right on the celestial equator, which has made it one of the most visible and therefore most important constellations for cultures all across the world for millennia. Because it straddles that celestial equator, you can see Aquila from almost anywhere on Earth. I mean, you could be standing at the North Pole, or you could be all the way down at a latitude of -71 degrees south, and you'd still be able to see it. Really, the only place you'd miss out is if you were deep in the interior of Antarctica. So when's the best time to look? Well, for those of you in the Northern Hemisphere, your prime window is going to be the summer months, July, August, September. That's when it's riding highest in the sky. And for everyone in the Southern Hemisphere, it'll be a prominent feature high in your northern sky during your winter. Okay, so now we know where to find it. Let's get to the really exciting part. What's actually happening inside this constellation? We're shifting gears from geography to physics now, because this is no quiet, sleepy cosmic neighborhood. No, this is a laboratory for extreme physics, home to some of the most bizarre objects in our galaxy, places where the laws of nature are tested under conditions we could never hope to replicate here on Earth. Let's start with its brightest star, Altair. To really appreciate how wild this star is, you just have to compare it to our own sun. Our sun takes about 25 days to complete one full rotation. Altair, it whips around in just 9 hours. That incredible speed has some pretty dramatic physical consequences. All that spinning generates an immense centripetal force that literally deforms the star. It's not a sphere. You know how if you spin a water balloon really fast, it bulges out in the middle? That's exactly what's happening to Altair. It's what we call an oblate spheroid. Its diameter at the equator is a full 20% larger than its diameter at the poles. It's spinning so fast, it's flattening itself out. Next up is another star, Eta Aquila. This one is known as a Cepheid variable, and these stars are one of the most important tools in an astronomer's entire toolkit. I mean, think about it. How do you measure the distance to something that's trillions of miles away? You need a standard candle, an object whose true brightness you already know. Cepheids are those candles. They physically pulsate, and the rate of their pulsation is directly linked to their intrinsic brightness. So we can measure the pulse, know how bright it really is, and from there, calculate its distance. It's how we map the scale of the entire universe. All right, now we're going to get into something truly exotic. Let me pose a question. What happens when a black hole starts feeding on a nearby star? This isn't just a hypothetical. The answer is playing out in real time, right inside Aquila. We're talking about an object called SS433. It's a binary system, a massive star locked in an orbital dance with a black hole. Picture this. The black hole's immense gravity is literally stripping gas right off its companion. That gas gets pulled into a violent, superheated whirlpool called an accretion disk. The process is so energetic that it fires off twin jets of plasma into space at 26% of the speed of light. That's over 77,000 kilometers per second. Aquila isn't just home to permanent oddities, it's also the site of incredibly violent events. Back in 1918, a star called V603 Aquilae exploded as a nova. Its brightness just surged. Now, on the astronomical magnitude scale, smaller numbers mean brighter objects. While for a short time, this nova became so brilliant that it outshone almost every other star in the sky, second in brightness only to Sirius. So, we've examined the physics. Now let's turn to the history. Because long before we had telescopes that could see black hole jets, humanity was looking up at these very same stars and seeing something completely different. A story. And it's an ancient relationship, one that spans at least 5,000 years. The story really begins with the Sumerians, who saw a star eagle in this pattern way back around 3000 BCE. The Babylonians followed suit, linking it to a god of lightning. Much later in the Roman era, something fascinating happened. Emperor Hadrian actually carved off a piece of Aquila to create a new constellation, Antinous, to memorialize a loved one. And that change actually stuck around for nearly 1,800 years, until 1922, when astronomers at the IAU officially made Aquila whole again. This deep history is woven into one of the most powerful and foundational myths of Western civilization, the story of the Titan Prometheus. And in that story, the eagle plays a central and, frankly, a terrifying role. So the myth begins with an act of pure defiance. The Titan Prometheus looked down and saw early humans living in cold and darkness. And out of compassion, he stole fire, the gift of technology, of knowledge from the gods, and gave it to them. This was a direct violation of an order from the king of the gods himself, Zeus. Zeus's retribution was, as you can imagine, swift and merciless. He had his enforcers, power and force, drag Prometheus to the most remote peaks of the Caucasus Mountains. There, they chained him to a rock, completely exposed to the elements for eternity. But simple imprisonment wasn't enough. The punishment was far more gruesome. Every single morning, Zeus would send his personal emissary, a great eagle. This bird would descend on the helpless Titan, tear into his flesh, and devour his liver. And because Prometheus was immortal, his liver would regenerate overnight, only for the entire gruesome cycle to repeat at dawn. For millennia, Prometheus endured this torture. Finally, the hero Heracles was passing through the Caucasus and witnessed the Titan's suffering. Taking pity on him, he drew his bow and, with a single arrow, shot the eagle from the sky. After Prometheus was freed, the myth says Zeus, in a strange gesture of reconciliation, placed the image of his faithful servant, the eagle, into the heavens as the constellation Aquila. So now, let's bring all of this together. It's time to connect the myth and the science through direct observation. I'm going to show you how to find Aquila so you can go outside and see this incredible dual identity for yourself. The key to finding Aquila is an unmistakable pattern called the summer triangle. First, just look for its 3 very bright stars. The brightest one is Vega. Look a little to the east and you'll find the second one, Deneb. The third point of the triangle, the one to the south, is Altair. And that star, Altair, is the eye of the celestial eagle. You find Altair, you've found Aquila. Once you have it, what should you look at? If you've got binoculars, just scan through the area. You'll see these incredibly dense star fields of the Milky Way running right through it. Look for the Dark Eagle Nebula. It's not bright, it's actually dark lanes of interstellar dust creating a silhouette. And if you have a telescope, a fantastic target is NGC 6751, a planetary nebula nicknamed the Glowing Eye. You'll be looking at the beautiful remnant of a dead star, a glimpse into the future of our very own sun. So this brings us to a final thought. When you look up at Aquila, what do you see? Is it the symbol of divine punishment, a warning against seeking knowledge, or is it a cosmic laboratory filled with wonders that we can only understand thanks to the very science and reason that Prometheus's fire represents? The sky holds both meanings. The choice of which one to see? Well, that's entirely up to you.
Thank you, friends. Strive for understanding and become wiser. See you soon.